Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are. Just doing a sound check to see is everyone able to hear me clearly, hear and see me clearly. Okay, all right. So just doing some final checks to ensure that everything's okay. All right, good stuff, man. Nice to see you, Moss. Nice to see you, Yamilu. All right, Philip. Thank you for tuning in. Right, gonna be another awesome session this week, and it will be our last session for the year, right? Because next week it'll be just about Christmas, right? And the week after it'll be the New Year. So this will be our last session for the year. We ended the year, I think, on a bang, right? If you are here for last week's forecast, right, I think we got almost all of them correct, besides the indices, right, which are really tough to forecast. I think everything else, we've done pretty well, right? So yeah, let's jump into today's session. And what I want to encourage you guys is that if you have a request for any particular instrument for me to look at, let me know. I'll do my best to look at them. Okay. Now, just give me a second. I need to just check. Give me a second. I'm just it just disconnected me, asking me to re-log in again. So just give me a quick second. It's asking me to verify. Give me a second, guys. I just need to verify verify my login again. It picks the worst times to actually ask me to verify again. It's terrible. Okay, I'm back in. Okay, cool. I'm back in. Sorry about that, guys. I got disconnected for a while. Yeah, just the usual stuff, right? YouTube finding the weirdest times when I'm in the middle of a live stream to tell me that they feel that it's time for me to re-authenticate. So I'm back here. All right, Solomon, nice to see you. All right, we got P the MGB, nice to see you too. All right, let's begin today's session. Okay, remember everything in this webinar is educational in nature. Nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. So please do your own due diligence before you guys trade, okay? Now, of course, moving on from here. If you encounter any times where there's a little bit of, if you can't hear me or you can't see me, let me know, right? I have another screen that is open over here, just monitoring the questions that come through. Right, so just let me know if you cannot hear or see me, all right? Our agenda for today, the usual stuff. What we tend to focus on is the analysis on the majors. I'm talking about the major FX pairs, major crypto, major commodities, major indices. All right, so these are the ones that we focus on mainly. After that, right, we go into the custom requests. Right, so if you have any specific instrument you want me to take a look at, let me know. I'll do my best to cover them throughout this session. What I always encourage guys is that send it in early, because we never ever have enough time to cover every single instrument. Okay, right? We got Leandro. Good evening. We got Nguyen. Nice to see you tuning in too. Let's begin today's session. For those of you guys who are wondering, who is this guy, right? Introducing your host for today. All right, my name is Desmond Leong. So I run the award-winning research firm Everest Fortune Group and also the Forex Army. Right, you can follow me on Instagram. I think it's over there. Right, not sure if you can see the handle and stuff like that. Right, nothing much, nothing fancy. Right, so no fancy flashy cars. Right, so it's I think that's what real trader life is like. Right, you don't necessarily need to be all flashy and stuff. So yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me there. Right, so we are finalists of 2019, 2020, and 2021 for best FX trader. Right, I do show this once in a while, right, just to let people know that if you follow the strategies that I put out over here, right, in this webinar, right, in all that I'm teaching and all that my team is teaching, you can easily pass any of this, right, pass a 100K challenge, right, and I do redact the names because we cannot look like we are endorsing a particular one of these challenges that you can take. But yeah, it's relatively easy to pass, right? You just need to apply the correct strategies. Okay, all right, we got requests for gold, dollar ZAR, pound ZAR, US oil already. Okay, right, from earlier today, Bosjan. Okay, gold, euro dollar, pound dollar, and dollar yen. Got it, guys. All right, so yeah, we regularly work with many other major financial institutions, but with a special partnership with IC Markets, where we're bringing you guys the good stuff, the juicy stuff, the stuff that'll take your trading to the next level. Okay, now let us begin today's session. We'll jump straight into the charts. Last week, our call on DXY was perfect, right? It dropped all the way, and reach our profit target. I actually initially forecasted that the drop would happen slightly earlier, right? But we tweaked it a bit, so you can watch that forecast, right? It was playing from the reversal of 38 to 50% instead. Yeah, so we're playing for the reverse from 38 to 50% instead, right? So that worked out quite nicely. Gold has dropped all the way, and now we're going to remove all this and say, all right, what do we do now? Now that gold has dropped all the way here, now that dollar DXY has dropped all the way here, what is the view that we should be looking at? Okay, so as usually in my analysis, what I do is I explain really slowly, right? I teach you guys the method behind the analysis, right? So it's not just like showing you the analysis, but rather showing you how I derive the analysis, right? Because that's where the learning happens. Okay, we did notice that there was a bounce of the 61.8 retracement previously, right? It went up and it reversed back down. So now it has broke the 61.8 retracement. The next realistic retracement is actually all the way down here at 78.6%. Okay, that's the next realistic retracement that we can see. Let me just adjust this a bit so you can have a little bit more space to see. Right, so yeah, that's the next realistic level there. What about Fibonacci projection? Could be 100%. Seems to be more or less breaking the 100% too. So I will list out my initial bias first. Right, I'll list out my initial bias. I do notice that it looks like it's making a little pullback to this resistance level. Right, I do notice there's a little bit of descending resistance. You could argue that there's a bit of a channel over here too, a bearish channel. Yeah, you could argue there's a little bit of a bearish channel. You tweak it a bit. Sorry, you just need to tweak the levels a bit. yeah, a little bit of a bearish channel that we're seeing over there. So there is downside momentum. I think on Ichimoku, yes, below the cloud too, right? So definitely a little bit of downside momentum over there. My natural bias is to watch for the drop, right? I do notice resistance over here, which I'm going to put dotted, right? Nice bit of overlap resistance over here. So ideally, you know, we could potentially see prices drop further from here. But how low can it drop, right? I think the only realistic level where it could drop to, right, is that you would notice over here, and this is for you, Emily, right? Price has As price goes down and it breaks each of the Fibonacci levels, right? You start losing. You can't use the 23, you can't lose the 38, you can't use the 50% anymore, you can't use the 61.8% because it has been broken over here. So the only one that you can really realistically use is that 78.6% retracement. Okay, so because of that, you know what I like to do, I like to click the Fibonacci over here, right? Apply my filter and just leave the 78.6% Fibonacci retracement, which historically, right? If you notice it historically, price seems to have bounced off multiple times in the past, previously, right? So it's not entirely out of the question that this could be a good support, right? So my first bias, right? My first bias is for a drop, is for DXY to continue weakening further, right? For prices to drop even further all the way down to the first support down here. Okay. Yes, I'm on the daily time frame, Sophie. All my analysis, unless otherwise stated, is on the daily time frame because this is a forecast for the week ahead, right? And because it's a forecast for the week ahead, we need to use a time frame which is not too time sensitive, right? Meaning that if I use a 4-hour chart, it might the whole thing might be over before we even notice it, right? So this would be on the 1 week time frame. Okay. Now let's see. In terms of if I were to pick a stop loss level, right? Just so that yeah, if I can pick a stop loss level, I'll probably pick it right somewhere over here, right? Probably about over here as my second resistance to give it a bit of breathing space. Personally, for me, I might put it over here, right? But if you want to play safe, you can put it over here. The reason why we put it over here is this is, you notice, this is like where a small little pullback resistance happens, and this is where I would go down to the smaller time frame, like the 4-hour time frame. All right, so on the 4-hour time frame, you notice that this is actually a nice pullback resistance, right? Bring it up to here, right? You capture all the nice little you still capture the candles with the wicks, but you don't cut their body. All right, so it's a very important approach to finding a stop loss, right? Or support and resistance levels. So my first bias is that we should be expecting further downside, right? On DXY, right? Especially because the Ichimoku cloud, everything adding in, right? You got a nice bearish channel, nice bearish trend line. You broke a key resistance level. The next key support level is quite far away, right? So there's nothing to really support them for bigger bounce. Okay, guys. All right. Okay, we look at dollar CAD and in a bit. Okay, now let's move on. All right, let's move on to some of the majors like euro dollar. Okay, just give me a second. Let me get some water. 1 second. Okay, guys, sorry, excuse me for a while. So yeah, last week we forecasted a bounce, you know, above the intermediate support level that we highlighted. Price has since bounced up, right? Reaches target very nicely. So you got in on this trade earlier at the intermediate support. You made good money. Congratulations. Now let's see what we're gonna do today. All right. So first and foremost, always establish the key support and resistance levels which are clear. All right off the bat, I can see it's very clear that we have a little bit of resistance level over here. We have a little bit of overlap support level over here. Right, got a little bit of overlap support level over here, and we have a little bit of a resistance level over here. Why price reverse off that resistance level? It's a little bit tricky. So I think the 127% Nike tick Fibonacci retracement would probably line up right there. Yeah, it'd be right there. So I'll be watching out this reversal from there. Right, this is definitely a strong reversal to play a move from. Right, you could even argue that the previously price did react quite nicely from this level. Right, so this would be a big resistance level for me to look at. Maybe first resistance, this could be an intermediate resistance for me. It's not that strong, right? No better levels for the support. Yeah, I'll probably put this as the first support, and I will put this here as the intermediate kind of overlap support. Right, it's the intermediate overlap support. Hard to call a move on euro dollar, but if we were expecting a further drop on the DXY, naturally, because euro dollar is strongly negatively correlated with DXY, we should be expecting a bounce on. We should be expecting euro dollar to kind of rise up though. So I'm a little bit worried about that, because I would be thinking that euro dollar might have broken out from here, but which it has not. So DXY is on a pullback and bouncing up, but it looks like euro dollar is not really doing that. So we have a case here where the markets are not lining up very nicely, right? And whenever this happens, this is where correlation is very important. You need to see which instruments are telling a clearer picture. Okay, that's where you look for strongly positively and strongly negatively correlated instruments, right, to see what it's saying. Okay, and that is where, right, yeah, I agree, man. Combo fist, right? This bearish candle is hard to ignore. So, oh man, it's a little bit tricky. So what we do next is we look at dollar franc. Right, worked out nicely. It dropped down towards our support level. Didn't reverse quite as close to from the level I was looking at, but it has dropped nicely. So this very tricky. This level over here, it seems like price is just on the pullback. I can't say for sure whether it looks like price is like recovering above this key level, because if it recovers above this key level, that's great. But if you look at dollar franc and DXY, which are very positively correlated, right? I think this is DXY, right? Let me see. Now this is euro dollar. Yeah, see, they're pretty strongly positively correlated, right? Dollar franc and DXY, meaning that they tend to move in the same direction. So if we are expecting a drop on DXY over here, right, that would mean that we would expect the same drop, right? We would expect the same drop on dollar franc, right? Which kind of looks like price is just about at the level, right? It kind of looks like price is just about at the level. So you could suggest that this is first resistance, right? Fair bit of downside resistance, kind of pushing prices lower and lower by a bit, right? A little bit of a descending resistance line over there. Not a level which is that great, but it's a descending resistance line nonetheless, right? Nice second I would call it here, but you could technically I have to put it over here, right? So this would be a second resistance level, right? And if price really breaks this, it should be a free fall, right? It should be a devil's in the details when you want to trade profitably, right? So you never ever kind of put your personally for me, right? I won't put my take profit down here, right? So even though this is the low point, right? You notice, right? I pick a level like this, where I do not, my rule of thumb is that I try not to cut the body of the candles as much as possible while involving as many of the candles as possible, right? So in this case, right, I catch it over here where the line touches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different candles without breaking any of the breaking any of the bodies. If I picked it over here, you might only have one candle. If I have it over here, 5 candles, right? Small difference, but this is usually the reason why you notice that a trade goes all the way to your take profit. It misses it by those few pips, right? And then it reverses, and then you lose that. You're wondering why did the market reverse, or right? It's not because there's any manipulation, right? It's not because there's a bigger agenda against your trading strategy, right? Rather, it's all down to support and resistance placement, and all down to take profit placement. Okay, so yeah, in this case, right, if price were to reverse from here right away, we need to see how the market opens, right? But if it holds below the first resistance, we should be looking for a further drop to a first support. Okay, we did have requests for pound dollar previously, so we take a quick look at pound dollar. Okay, which more or less is target. Good stuff over there, right? I did actually highlight that there was a little bit of a trend line over here, right? So get in on that trade, bullish bounce, right? Congratulations, good amount of money that you should have been making. Okay, well, I think maybe a bit more of a trend line over here. Yeah, we got a bit of a trend line, suggesting bullish momentum, right? So always establish the support and resistance and the momentum levels first. I can clearly see a support level here, and I can clearly see a resistance level over here, right? This takes a little bit of training for your eyes to see, okay? Knowing why price reversed from there. You look at this level over here, right? Most people think that price is just kind of going down this way. But if you look very closely, you must train your eyes, right? Look when I'm drawing this. Look how little you notice, right? I'm going to zoom in here for you guys to learn, right? See, notice that price only cuts a candle once, right? Which is this candle over here. All the other times, it is touching the wick, right? It's just touching the wick perfectly, right? So this is what I call a very clean incision, a very clean cut, right? That means price always obeys this level. And true enough, right? Because price obeys this level, right? Price touches this level and it reverses again, right? So that is what you're looking out for when you have to draw support and resistance levels. Look for a level which involves as many candles as possible while cutting as few candles as possible. I try to maximum cut 1 or 2 candle bodies at max, but usually just 1. Okay, so this clearly is now established as our first resistance, right? And I can see, I would prefer if price didn't reverse this much, but now I'm not too sure what's going to happen over here. I can establish that this is a support, right? I can establish that this is a support and this is another support down here, right? But I cannot establish that price is going to bounce from here, because let's look at this. Look at this thing over here. You can't say with confidence that there's any support level, right? So it's tough for us to call a bounce on here, right? All right, yeah, it could be called both ways, right? It's a little bit tricky, right? I guess that if you do have to pick a level, this could be an intermediate support level, right? Yeah, so really tricky. pound dollar is a bit tricky, right? Technically, we should be expecting price to come back up to the first resistance. And if it breaks this first resistance, I think the next key level where it can reach is 78.6, right? Yeah, I guess the only level that it can reach is 78.6. Yeah, can't really find any other level, right? So probably just put it over here as a second resistance to watch out for, okay? Now we move on to dollar yen, right? Dollar yen, we called the drop perfectly, right? So this was the call from last week. We were forecasting for a reversal from here, right? We have been forecasting that, price actually bounced up very strongly. A lot of people are saying that it's going to continue strengthening, but we caught the reversal, right? You can tune into last week's analysis and see how nicely we caught the reversal, right? And the reason we're able to call this is because we are able to identify the very, very strong resistance area over here, right? Using very good support and resistance, right? You can see even with this line that stretches from here all the way to here, it cuts, it involves as many candles as possible, right? Touching the wicks of so many candles, but only cutting it like once and maybe twice over here, right? Because the next time it came down, it already broke the level, right? So if you got in on this trade on dollar yen, congratulations, good money that has been made. But what can we expect this week? I honestly do not know. Kind of looks like price is breaking a little bit of a trend line. I mean, it has broken, it has dropped, right? And how low can it go? Let's see if it's testing any key Fibonacci levels. Okay, right, it looks like it's more or less breaking the 38%. Next key one down here. Let me see if there's any other levels. It looks like it's breaking the 61 too. Well, all I can say is that there aren't that many Fibonacci levels to kind of look at over here. Now I will just establish the support and resistance levels. I love this support level over here. Okay, really like it. Very clean. I could even stretch it back to here, right? Notice that when it's back to here, how nicely price responds to it, right? You got nice reaction, a nice reaction, a nice reaction, a nice reaction, and a nice bounce. So these are the key support and resistance levels that you need to train your eye to be able to see. Okay, levels where you catch as many of the nice candles as possible without cutting into their bodies, right? So that would help you find good support and resistance levels. Okay, so this is the first support here, and if I were to highlight one more, it would probably be about over here, right? So this would be my downside confirmation, right? I like how the candles responded to that, but it looks like price is just about testing this level. So if there's dollar weakness, just giving us that little bit of momentum to break beyond this 141.72 level, we should see a free fall because there's no other support level in between, right? We should be able to see a free fall to the 137 level. Okay, in terms of the resistance levels, I would probably just highlight one over here, right? This would be one of the first resistance levels to look at, right? And this would probably be enough as a yardstick on where your stop loss could be, all right, if you were to play this move. Just need to give it that little bit of breathing space for price to drop. Okay, now we're looking at dollar CAD. Now I understand that Nguyen had a request for dollar CAD too. Dollar CAD, right? I think we didn't have much of a view last week, but one of the key views that I noticed this week is that dollar CAD looks like it is testing. Let me re-emphasize that it looks like it is testing this key support level over here. which I love because finally it's on a key level. Okay, this is the first resistance that we're establishing, right? We can see a nice bit of descending resistance pushing prices lower, right? So this would be the descending resistance line, right? Pushing prices lower. And so man, worth noting that price tends to fluctuate, right? Price tends to fluctuate between these levels over here. Okay, resistance levels over here, and you could arguably say support levels over here, right? This level captures most of the take a look at it, right? This would, you could argue that is one of the key support levels to look at. Okay, so what can we expect if price breaks this first support? I like to call this the downside confirmation, right? So if price breaks this level, the next support that it's going to find is all the way down here, right? Which is, yeah, which will be called our second support. Yeah, we kind of need price to break this level first before it comes down, right? We got a visitor over here. Got a visitor over here, a usual cat visiting me at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Right, the original indicator, right? So those of you guys, my OGs who have been around for the past 2 or 3 years, you remember Leia the indicator, right? Now, so yeah, so when I said it was going bearish, she seemed to have jumped up, so maybe it's correct. I'm kidding, guys. You don't trade based on your cat, okay? Yeah, but you know, if price breaks below this downside confirmation, I quite like the odds, right? I quite like the odds of it dropping towards this this support level down here. Okay, I quite like it dropping to this support level down here. Okay, so yeah, that would be the view for dollar CAD. We'll take a quick look at Aussie dollar. Last week we forecasted for Aussie dollar to bounce up to reach its target, right? It has since bounced up, reached its target, so we've made a good amount of money. Congratulations, right? Picking to follow, like I mentioned, you don't need to spend $3,000 or $6,000 on some forex course out there to be a good trader. You know, all you need to do is to follow the right people, right? Filter and apply discretion in learning, right? A lot of what we teach you here, right? You know, probably need to pay like $10,000 or $20,000 out there to learn, right? But because, you know, IC Markets is taking care of you guys, right? So we don't hold anything back when we show you how we use the analysis, how we use technical analysis to forecast this movements. Yeah, how you forecast these movements, and of course, you know, how you can apply it to pass any of these trading competitions and even to be profitable, right? I am surprised I'm pronouncing it correctly in the Wangya, right? Because I don't have any experience pronouncing it like a South African, right? Right. So cool that I'm pronouncing it right. All right, guys. So what can we expect on Aussie dollar, right? There is hardly any resistance level we can find. Next big resistance level is all the way up to here. A very, very clear big resistance level. But if you look at that, look at any of the levels in between, there is no resistance. There's no clear resistance level in between, right? So the only one, if you are trying to grasp at straws over here, is maybe over here. You could argue that there's a little bit, I don't fancy it that much, right? But if you're grasping at straws, this could be an intermediate kind of resistance level to look at, right? But if you're asking me now, this isn't a support. This isn't a support level. This is what I consider a support level, right? Very, very nice support level over here where we caught the bounce from. Good amount of money if you guys made it. But there is only maybe a intermediate support over here, right? So that this is the important thing which I want to tell you guys, and that is that it is okay, right, if a market does not present a clear trading opportunity, right? Some markets are a lot clearer, right? Sometimes you look at, dollar CAD, right? We look at euro dollar, right? We look at dollar franc. It looks like there's a little bit of a setup that is being created over there. But when we look at stuff like Aussie dollar, you're in between one intermediate support and one intermediate resistance, far away from your first support and first resistance levels, right? And just look at it and you're like, man, there is nothing for me to trade this week. And that is okay. You don't need to force yourself to trade. Instruments which provide better setups, which you should be focusing on. Don't be married to the idea that you want to trade a particular instrument, and because of that you try to squeeze a trade out of it, right? The trick to being a profitable trader is to only trade the good stuff, right? Only trade the ones that look so great that you can't ignore, right? So this is one of the tricks that I want to let you guys know. Okay, now we are back to Kiwi dollar, right? And on Kiwi dollar, okay, let's see. Clearly a nice bit of support level over here. Yeah, nice bit of probably can establish this as like a little bit of a first support overlap over here, right? Could use this as like a kind of first support level. This this is why it's a little bit tricky. If I were to look at this looks more like a resistance. Look at action over here, it looks more like a resistance. But look at Aussie dollar, right? Aussie dollar looks like it's gonna have a breakout, right? While Kiwi dollar looks like it's gonna have a little bit of a reversal. Let me think what might happen. Hard to say, but there is a decent chance that we might see a short-term reversal for Kiwi dollar to come down to here, right? There's a decent chance that we might see that. By asking me what other key resistance levels we can find after that, hardly anything. Maybe the 78 point Fibonacci retracement all the way up to here, right? That could be the second resistance level, but I honestly can't find anything else, right? And we don't need to try to rush to find it. Okay, so nothing great on Aussie and Kiwi dollar. We can move on from there, right? WTI oil, right? We're back on a resistance level. Perfect, right? We initially forecasted it to drop last week. It dropped, it bounced back up, and now we're back on the resistance level again, right? So we should expect it to continue to reverse and come all the way down to test this major support level, right? Most people might be thinking that price has already bounced, but look at this level. This support level catches so many points, right? And it's a magnetic level, right? What I call magnetic level is when price is very close to one of these key levels where there's a lot of very obvious support level, right? In these kind of situations, right, what is likely to happen is that price tends to be pulled towards that direction again. So we could be expecting prices to kind of get pulled towards the first support. If I'm not wrong, it continues to remain under the bearish Ichimoku, right? Bearish trend line, right? It's still testing that first resistance over here, right? So we should continue to have the same view to expect it to drop further. Okay, so that's our view on oil, right? A drop below 72.42. Okay, for gold, gold didn't, I would say it's one of the instruments that didn't work out that nicely, right? We thought it was going to reverse, it didn't reverse, right? And now it's in the middle of nowhere. So what I can say is that, man, I have no idea what's going to happen to gold, right? Nice bit of resistance up here. Man, I can't hard for me to be able to call any support level or resistance level, right? I do notice this cuts the this cuts most of the wicks, right? For the support, this cuts the wicks. Maybe need to nudge it just a few pips higher to cut the resistance, but I can't pick a level, right? I'll probably look to play between these two levels, between the first resistance and the first support levels, but I can't realistically pick any strong level with confidence, right? So I'll probably be exercising caution on gold trades, right? No one's forcing to trade it, right? So be careful, okay? Some of the stuff that didn't work out so nicely, I think it was Dow Jones, right? DJ30. DJ30, we forecasted it to rise up, it reached our target, but it didn't reverse, right? So that's the thing, right? For the life of me, if you zoom out all the way, right, I can't tell what's going to happen, right? We know that this is a big level, right? We know that that's a big level, but man, look at this. There is no level we can trade with. There is no level we can trade with. Maybe you can argue that's a 161, but that's also pretty far away. There is no level. At most, you just play the pullback to the support, right? Play the pullback to the support. In this case, we could maybe play our move up to the up to 161.8. Yeah, 161.8 as a key level. But yeah, you'll be buying on dips, yeah. You'll be buying on dips to play the move up, right? Hard for me to call any level, honestly, right? DJ30, right? If you look at it, it's hard. But I like that price has broken out from this one of these really, really all-time highs, right? So are we looking to buy on dips, right, to play the move up further, right? Which should probably be a pretty similar case. DEX, we didn't call any move. This is still the support, this is still the resistance, right? If I can, I'll look to buy on dips to play the move up here, because I like the 127% Fibonacci extension here, right? And I do think that price is likely to kind of make a push up towards there. Okay, that's for the DEX. For the S&P 500, we forecasted that price would go up, reach the level, but it did not reverse, right? So we got this trade wrong, right? Now the question is, what do we expect next for S&P 500? I think at this point, right, we should be expecting S&P 500 to kind of work its way up to this major resistance level all the way up to here, right? I'll be looking to buy on dips, right? So I like this support level about over here, right? Maybe I could nudge it just a few pips lower, right, to be about over here, right? But I do like it about this level over here. So I would be looking to kind of buy on dips, right? The recording of this session will go up right away, actually, Noang, right? Because it's hosted on YouTube Live. Okay, so this would be the first resistance, this would be a first support. And of course, guys, if you found this session useful, please remember to leave a thumbs up, right? You really help us, help YouTube be able to filter our videos a bit better, right? So I'll be looking to buy on dips, right? I do think we could look to buy on dips to play the move up to the first resistance. Okay, I like this support area over here, right? So definitely kind of look to buy on dips to play the move up further. And if we have to, right, if we have to find another resistance level, right, maybe over here would be good, right? As the potential stop loss level, right? You notice that it captures quite a lot of the nice levels, right? So this could be a potential stop loss level. If price, I'm kind of waiting for price to make a drop down to here before playing the bounce up to the all-time high at 4801 over here. Okay, key view that we're looking at for S&P 500. Okay, once again, guys, if you found this session useful, please help me leave a thumbs up, right? I think my view on dollar yen, right, on yen, is that I'll be waiting for yen to strengthen a bit more, meaning that dollar yen to drop, right? So if price breaks this 141.72 level, then I will play the drop down to the 137.70 level. It's hard for me to call a bounce over here. So instead of calling for a bounce, I'll be calling for a bearish breakout. It needs to break this level to trigger the move down. Okay. Now, I guess on an ending note, crypto, right? Hard to call anything on crypto. Well, it's just pretty hard to call anything on crypto, right? But if I do have to highlight a level, right? Ethereum is a lot clearer. Very nice support level over there, right? This support level could even go further back, right? All the way back to, as you can see, you can go all the way back to here, right? As one of the key support levels to watch out for, right? Yeah, so key support level over here, key resistance level over here. Okay, I think you can continue to buy on dips, right? Just for prices to keep coming back up to this resistance level. Keep looking to buy on dips because this is a very, very strong support level, right? And I think it lines up with a very, very nice Fibonacci retracement too, right? Probably maybe at 38, maybe at 23, maybe somewhere in between, right? Yeah, it's somewhere in between. Right, so yeah, somewhere in between, right? So continue to look to buy on dips, right, around this overlap to continue to play the bounce. All right, there should be a nice little bit of ascending support level holding prices up nicely, right? So yeah, my view on Ethereum, right, which could be it could speak of the entire crypto space, is that we are still bullish as long as it holds above 2149. If it breaks 2149, then we might turn a little bit bearish. But if Ethereum holds above 2149, we can remain bullish, looking to buy on dips for prices to test the recent highs of 2400 again. Okay. And of course, yeah, what's my best trade of the week? Let me see what's my best trade of the week. It's a bit tricky, right? I do like this overlap, right, on dollar CAD, and I think that if it closes below this, I quite like that this major overlap has been broken, and it can actually trigger a bigger move down to the first support. But you need to wait for price to close below this 1.3376 level, right? Not that many nice setups this week, quite honestly speaking, right? I do think S&P, right? If S&P comes down to here, I would love to see it bounce up to there. So just need to wait for a few days. If it comes down to here, I would say this would be one of the key trades to play the big bounce because it is such an obvious setup. Everyone wants it to come up to here. There's a key overlap support over here, right? And if it comes down to here, look to buy on the bounce, right? So this would probably be my two key setups that I'm looking at, right? So a little bit hard, not so clear. I don't like the view on DXY that much. It would be perfect if it drops nicely, but DXY and dollar franc looks like they're singing from the same hymn book, right? But euro dollar and pound dollar actually tells a different story. So this correlated move makes it very, very tricky, and I can't really confidently say if you're going to have DXY weakness this week. Okay. So all right, guys. I guess if there's one last one looking at, I don't look at it that often, but there was a request for dollar ZAR, right? Dollar ZAR, I think last week we forecasted it drop. It looks like it has dropped since then. I don't trade it much, but a bit of support level over here. You could say it's a bit of a support level over here. Oh yeah, I'll be back, right? I'll be back next year. Let me just check. Just let me just draw this first. I would probably look for this. If price breaks this move, right, we could maybe see it drop to the second support, right? A little bit hard for me to pick any resistance level, but maybe you could squeeze out this as a resistance level. Okay. All right. So yeah, a little bit hard to call the move on dollar ZAR, right? Moss, I will be back on the I think it's on the 8th of January, right? So I think because it's Christmas, then there's New Year, right? Then it's after that. So I think it's a 3 weeks it's 3 weeks from now, right? Any of you guys in Australia, I'll be traveling to Adelaide, right, on Christmas Eve all the way to New Year's Eve, right? So if you have any recommendations on what is good in Adelaide, let me know, right? I'll be around there, okay? Right? But yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys next week. No, as in the new year, right? Happy, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, right? I wish you guys, if you've been sticking with me for this entire 2023, right? Hopefully, you've traded well. Hopefully, you've made good money, right? Continue to stick with us, continue to stick with me and my team, and as we teach you how to trade better, and as I show you and how we can trade better, and let's look forward to a good 2024. Can get those trading targets that you want, make that money, right? And of course, make a difference in your life with trading. If you've made money in 2023, withdraw some of the profits, just to treat your family to a meal, treat yourself to a nice meal, right? And realize that, wow, I'm actually paying for these tangible things. I'm paying for rent, I'm paying for this food, for this steak in front of me, right? I'm paying for it with trading profits, right? I'm feeding my family with trading profits, right? That is one thing I would encourage you guys to do as we are approaching the end of 2023. All right, so until next time, guys, signing off, right? Trade safe, stay safe, peace out, guys. I'll catch you guys in 2024, right? For the next few weeks, you should still be able to see my rest of my team, and of course me jumping in once in a while. All right, take care, bye bye.